I have a special guest today. Of course, all of my special guests are. But my special guest today is Irene Zhen, who is the Innovation Program Manager at the Canberra Innovation Network. Welcome, Irene.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, Irene, I know you love innovation. What got you so excited about innovation?
I think my first foray into innovation is when I was still at uni, so I was studying a law degree. And I signed up to what I thought was a networking event. Turns out it was actually Innovation ACT, which is a business competition for ANU students.
But you didn't know you were entering into a competition?
No. I just got roped in by, networking, also free food. Every student loves free food.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And I think I fell in love with the idea of, being able to have impact through the work that you do. If you're passionate about something, if you want to see a change in the world, you could actually do that through entrepreneurship and innovation. And so, many years later, I'm still here in the space.
That's very true, isn't it? Like, I guess the conventional kind of thing is that, this is me speaking as a public servant here, that you sort of waited for your boss to tell you what to do, and then you did what your boss told you to do, and and then you went home at the end of the day, and that was your working life. Has that changed?
I think since the pandemic, I think that's changed a bit. I think people are open to new ways of working and, in fact, new ways of creating impact. So, you're starting to see a lot of people, not have the traditional 9-to-5 sort of job or working from home a bit more, so space for other things in their life as well. So we certainly see a lot of entrepreneurs in the ecosystem here in Canberra, sort of, with public service backgrounds or corporate backgrounds who are like, well, what can I do to make impact?
And Canberra is a really amazing place for innovation. I'm totally biased because I live here, and I also really value the role of the Canberra Innovation Network, particularly the support it's given me personally, but I've also seen the support it's given from others to others. But do you find that Canberra is a good place for innovation?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of sort of untapped potential, I would say. Like, when people think of maybe more tech hubs and all that, you think of Silicon Valley, maybe Boulder in the US. Locally in Canberra, in Australia, you think of Sydney or Melbourne. But I think Canberra's just got this really nice mix of we've got the universities that are here, so really smart, cutting edge research. We've got, people smart, impact-driven people in the public service, in the corporate. So there's a lot of talent here that's just sort of waiting for something to ignite and, and actually challenge them to build something and start up their own companies, perhaps.
And tech is an interesting one. I think I read this morning or yesterday, I don't know if you've seen it, that they've done a survey and found that in Canberra we have twice the national average of people working in IT.
Oh, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah, so, which makes sense
cool.
because like a lot of the, public service, big departments are headquartered here, and particularly when you think of things in like in the defence or the other kind of security spaces, they need very, very good tech systems to avoid cybersecurity and other things. So they're at that peak of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And cybersecurity is a growing sector here in Canberra as well. It's been identified as a sort of priority area of focus, and precisely for the reasons that you mentioned. It's about there's lots of government departments that need that service, so there's a lot of demand for it as well.
And you do quite a lot in the Canberra Innovation Network on cybersecurity too.
Yeah. We're about to launch our second cohort of the Cybersecurity Accelerator, so picking up some entrepreneurs who are looking to start or grow their businesses in that space.
Fabulous. But we're actually not going to talk about cyber today, but if you are interested in cyber, you can talk to Irene separately from this. I don't think you're the cyber lead, but you can connect people who are, because there's some very exciting work that is being done through the Canberra Innovation Network. I think there's the Accelerator program. I think you've had hackathons in the past.
Yeah, hackathons in the past. We've got the Canberra Cyber Hub here, recently launched at the beginning of this year, I believe. lots of interesting events in the space.
So lots of interesting events. So if that's something you're interested in, even if you don't think you're a tech person, and I was just having a conversation with someone else, particularly about how women don't self-identify as tech people, but if you have an interest in that and want to expand it, come and talk to the Canberra Innovation Network.
Awesome.
But today we're mainly going to talk about another course.
Yeah, that's it. We've got our Idea to Impact 10-week customer challenge coming up.
So I did this course in 2020, and at the time I did it, we were in the middle of lockdown. So I think it was the first one you've done online.
Yeah, that particular one, yeah. So a lot of, that was one of our biggest cohorts that you were part of, and because we were online, we were able to accommodate more people. And yeah, definitely, a learning experience delivering that, but really great. I think, still in contact with a lot of the people who've been through the program. Some have progressed more than others. Others have sort of joined other projects, which is often the case. So, yeah. And
I've certainly met and made some lifelong friends through the course, which was, not surprising, but not what I expected. And this was when it was done online. And having spoke at or met some of the students, or I should call them cohort really, because they're not university students, no. But the cohort of the last course in the first semester of this year, I really think there's something very special about doing it in person.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is definitely my preference.
All those conversations you have by getting a cup of tea during the break and all those different things is really quite amazing.
That's it. So the next cohort's up for September, taking applications at the moment. So chuck something in. It's just on our website. And if ever in doubt, I think book in a chat with one of the team, basically.
So the big question which people are probably going to ask is, do you have to already have an established business and be earning lots of money and super successful to be doing this course?
No, absolutely not. We've got people who are literally, a germ of an idea. And the whole idea of the process of the program is to make progress on customers. So hence they call it the 10-week customer challenge. You spend 10 weeks, building on what your understanding of the customers. Maybe it's increasing customers, but it's all about customers. So it's 10 weeks in an intensive way. So don't need an idea. If you've got an idea, if you've got an established business and you're looking to maybe pivot or launch a new product or project or something that's a bit new and innovative, this is also for you as well.
Thank you for that. So just to reiterate, all you need to have is an idea or a concept. You don't actually have to have done much of this. You've just got an idea, and the course itself is going to flesh it out. Now, from memory, it uses a lean innovation model.
Yeah. So
sounds fancy.
It's not really. I guess the idea is, how do you make the most progress using the least resources possible? So a lot of people, when they have an idea, when they think they want to start a business, they go, okay, well, I need to do this, I need to pay for this, I need to invest in like a really fleshed out marketing strategy, I need to hire out a space, I need to sign a lease, and all those things that
100-page business plan.
100-page business plan. In fact, one of the workshops is we're taking that, what people think of the 100-page business plan, which is sometimes it is needed, but really fleshing out the first version, which is on a page, on a tool we call canvases. So lean innovation, in a sense, it's really about what can you do leanly, trimming off the fat, what can you do to progress, and what's important to spend some time on, and what is not so important maybe in the early stages.
So it's the George Foreman knock out the fat.
I guess so.
It's a version of innovation.
I suppose so, yeah.
So let's talk about the application process first. So is it a really rigorous, difficult application process?
No. It's pretty simple. If you're spending more than an hour on it, you're probably spending with too much time. The idea is to give you almost some prompting questions to start thinking about. So it's things like, who's your customer? What is the problem you think that they're experiencing? How are you solving it with your new idea or business or startup? And how you're a bit different from what else is there in the market. And that's always the starting point of your startup, I suppose. And if you were going to pitch for things like Innovation Connect grants to investors, to funders, these are the core questions that you need to answer anyway.
So just have had a bit of think about your business. Like, you know, I've got this great idea, which is fine, but then you need to go a bit of a step further and think who is actually going to buy this great idea or sign up for it or think it's going to be useful.
Yeah.
And, you know, why?
Yeah. That's it. And, you know, and that is in itself a really good exercise for you to do, you know, just to think about, I've got this thing, how am I going to get it to customers? Because without customers, you don't have a business, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, well, no, you might like doing what you're doing, but you're right, it has to resonate with others for it to be actually a business rather than just your hobby.
That's right, yeah.
So that's the defining difference. Now, when is it due?
So applications close end of this month, 31st of August, and it kicks off on the 7th of September, so workshop 1. So I suppose I should talk a bit about the format of it. It's 5 half-day workshops over 10 weeks. So every fortnight you'll come into the Canberra Innovation Network with the rest of the cohort.
In person?
In person.
Not like us in 2020.
Yeah, that's it. There's coffee. We can provide you with coffee and snacks. So you work intensively. We'll show you some tools that other entrepreneurs have used. And then we'll set you the challenge, some homework challenges, so you can continue working on it in the off period. In the off weeks, we'll have 1 hour online accountability sessions, and that's really a session for you to catch up and connect with other people in the cohort, talk about what went well. You know, maybe you've tried something new, maybe you've tried talking to new groups of customers, or maybe you struggled to find some customers to talk to, and then we'll try to unblock you and unstick you through that group.
Just acknowledge we have Karen Headley online who says she's applied. So Karen's one of your recent Icon Grant recipients, or winners, I should say. So
amazing.
Well done, Karen, and do apply. You will really enjoy the course. I can't guarantee you'll get in, but I think you would be a very strong applicant.
Probably. Awesome.
That is fabulous. If anyone else, others who are online, please drop in and leave a comment so we can see you're there. And I'm sure you'll have questions from Irene about the course as well. So feel free to go ahead and do that. Now, customers, how do you know what customers are going to think about your idea?
Well, we don't. So I suppose that, you know, and which comes to the crux of the program, which is really about learning from customers. So you might, you know, have some experience, in your area, in your industry, where your idea is sort of sits within. But a lot of it's testing and finding, okay, well, who are the first customers or adopters or users of this product, service, or whatever it is. And so, and I think that's sort of the heart of it. You know, when you've got an idea, how do you even get started? How do you progress it? And so through things like talking to customers, through showing them mock-ups, through pitching ideas to different sorts of people, hopefully you'll learn some, you get some insights into their world. And then as you start developing your product or your service, you can then incorporate that in. So at the end, rather than going, I've got this perhaps app idea and I'm going to spend, a whole 2 years developing it without showing anyone, only to get to the end and go, oh, well, actually no one wants it. We want to mitigate that. We don't actually want that to happen. We want you to go, okay, well, how can we make it work for the customers that we think we might be able to get?
Thank you. And it's easy to think that, but so many people think, they've got that Kevin Costner build it and they'll come mentality, which for people like me who are bloggers, we know that this isn't the case. You actually have to build your community because people aren't going to find you otherwise. No. You can have the best app ever. Yeah. But if no one knows about it.
That's it. And there's lots of evidence of that, on even the App Store, right? Lots of free apps that don't get downloads, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And because you tend to go for the ones that are the popular ones that have lots of reviews.
Yeah.
Even if they're not necessarily the best, because you don't know who's reviewed them or why. But, that's just one of the realities. So I want to talk about these customer conversations next, because that's also really core to the course.
Yeah. So the challenge, and I might scare off a few people, but hopefully not. The challenge is...
I survived.
I promise you, it sounds scary, but you are able to do it. Lots of people have been able to do it. The challenge is to talk to and engage with 100 potential customers. And I sort of talk about customers broadly. They can be, the people who end up buying it. They can be users, they can be stakeholders, just people around who might, who might just know a lot about the space that you're trying to get into. And the goal is to get through that in 10 weeks, so about 10 a week. And trust me, a lot of people have done it, and you can too.
A lot of people do more than 100. Now,
Yes.
I was not one of those because I'm chatty. I don't know if you've noticed, but, I couldn't just schedule a 10-minute conversation. They ended up being 30 minutes to an hour because I was deeply passionate, and other people were definitely passionate. If you're wondering, by the way, too, I was there to discuss the Joyful Business Club, and initially my idea was about building a peer-to-peer lending mechanism for it. That has not happened yet. However, has led to me writing a book, The Joyful Startup Guide, to having these regular Facebook Live, forums, and then the Joyful Business Club Connect and the Joyful Business Club Virtual Connect. So it has certainly led to a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that's what we find with a lot of participants who go through. Like, they go in with one idea, but really, when you start to unpack it, they have an ambition or they have a vision of what they want to achieve in general, like, a direction. But then as they're interacting with customers, as they learn from their actual community, they go, well, actually, maybe the format of this isn't, maybe it's not the first thing. Maybe I need to build it up through little small experiments, or, it might be a completely different product, or maybe something else is more important. So we see people sort of doing this like meandering thing. It's rarely a straight line where, I have this idea, I'm going to do it, and then it's going to be good.
Well, it is a big thing. I was thinking
yeah.
of doing a peer-to-peer lending, platform. I mean, that, involves getting, Australian financial services license. Like, I researched it all, but actually doing it, like when you are just, little me with an idea, is daunting. But to be honest, it's less daunting for me right now than it was when in 2020. Now, I haven't done it yet, but now I do actually know other people who've done similar things, and through this process, I'm more connected. So it's not an idea I've given up on. It's just, it's taking me a longer time, and it's like a snowball. It's building along the way.
That's it. And it's, and don't discount the progress that you've made, the connections that you've made. And now you have a richer understanding of what, how to actually...
How crazy I was. How crazy I still am.
No, ambitious.
But quite seriously though, Canberra Innovation Network does not laugh at big dreams.
No, I love them. Big dreams are what changes the world, right? So...
And you see a lot of people coming through with big dreams?
Yeah. That's probably the best thing about my role here is, you get to surround yourself with people who want to make a difference, who, have that ambition. And then it's like, well, and I see my role as almost nudging them and guiding them. I don't know the answers to everything, but, here are some connections, or here's some people who are part of the network who might be able to help.
Which is really important too. So much of what you do is often about networks and connections, and just getting the referrals. And another plug for another Canberra Innovation Network event, and that takes place every month.
Oh yes, First Wednesday Connect, very aptly named, as it is held on the first Wednesday of the month. So that's probably our flagship event, where we bring people together from across the community. Get lots of entrepreneurs, investors, researchers, students, just general people who are excited by, changing the world. So next one's on 7th of September, which is actually the kickoff.
I'm going to be away.
Oh no!
I'm going to be in the US in Orlando, Florida.
That sounds fun. Well, if you're not in Orlando, Florida, come join us for the September 1st Wednesday Connect. We do have a bit of a cyber security theme for the next one, and that will be partnering with the Canberra Cyber Hub. But, even if you're not in cyber, lots of really good discussions and conversations to be had. I always walk away from that really energized, and just, really a group of really smart people.
Frugalista personal finance advocate here. If you're not into cyber, you need to be. Like, it is so much of our life is interconnected. You have to have at least a basic knowledge of cyber. You can't avoid it in this day and age.
No,
so get with the program. Don't be scared of it. And that sounds like a great one to attend. And I really meet so many amazing people through First Wednesday Connect. I never know who I'm going to meet and what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So going back to this course, so you've got an idea, you're on the course, you've applied through the super easy process, you're on the course, it's over 10 weeks. Now, how hard is it to get these customer interviews?
It depends on who you're trying to target, and we've had lots of, seemingly difficult ones, in the sense of, we're trying to talk to mining companies who might not be in Canberra, or the heads of really large departments. But I think the part of the process is trying to find a way around that, and also looking for low hanging fruit. We often get a lot of people in who go, well, actually, I know my customers, and they're the 3 mining companies, and that's it. How am I going to get to 100? But one of the things that we remind our people is that companies are made of people, and sometimes you might be able to talk to a more junior level person who might be a bit more accessible than, say, the CEO of BHP Billiton or something, and then through that work your way upwards. Learn about the the junior engineers world or something like that. Part of the process, I guess. Long story short, it depends on what you're trying to do, and sometimes it's about reframing it and go, okay, well, I can't quite get to someone really well known at this stage, but I can do this. And of course, once you're in the program, you'll have a cohort of about 50 other entrepreneurs who might know of other people that you can talk to as well.
Well, that's a really good point, actually, because they say, multi-level marketers such as Amway, and I'm not speaking Amway, I'm just saying this as an example, but in their training, they will say that the average person knows about 100 people. Well, in my case, I tend to know a lot more. It's a long story, but if you look at many people on Facebook, they've got hundreds of people on Facebook. And on LinkedIn, it's the same. Like, I'm over 1,000 on LinkedIn, I'm not even sure who. And, you ask someone to be recommended and you would be surprised. I personally love being a super connector. I love connecting really diverse people who do amazing things, and you'd be surprised who in that course is going to know someone that you need to speak to.
That's it. And sometimes it's as simple as just putting a call out and saying, hey, I'm looking for these sorts of people, can anyone help? And just be surprised with the response.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I should mention too that there's a Facebook group in support to Idea to Impact. It's only open to those on the course or who've attended a previous course, so it is a closed group. This is not meant to be discriminatory, it's just to support people who have been or who are on this particular course. But that's a great way where you can put things out for help, or some people have other really cheekily put out surveys that they've put on there, or polls, like, why not? Why not ask your classmates? You don't really know who in there might be your potential customer as well.
Yep, that's it. That's it. That's it. And it's that network effect, and especially in Canberra. I feel like everyone's got 1 or 2 degrees of separation between everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't know who they're married to as well. Like, I remember I was doing a Founders Alliance meeting, and it was all women in that particular group except for one guy who's doing human-centered design. And it seemed like quite a different vibe at first. It's like, right, because the women all sort of knew each other, and a lot of them were doing life coaching, and or some of them were MLMs, so it was fairly, for want of a better word, more fluffier content. And then we had this guy who was coming from more sort of scientific rigor background. But I said to him, don't be surprised. A lot of the ladies here, like, their spouses are like, heads of department in IT. One's husband was a builder and someone else needed to know a builder. Like, you would be surprised. Even if it doesn't seem like your first level customer, you would be surprised. And a warm introduction is just so important.
Yeah, that's it. And so, during the program, there'll be lots of opportunities to connect in that sort of way. And be, but the key is, being open, being, curious, asking questions and seeing where that gets you.
Very much so. And I would add too that even without a warm introduction, I was really surprised on the course how many doors I managed to open for interviews, including with some fairly senior people just by saying, hello, I'm on a course at the Canberra Innovation Network. I would like to meet with you.
Wow.
And that name in itself opened doors.
Yeah.
Because you're not like a random
Yeah.
Smith. You are, hello, I'm this name person.
Yeah.
I'm part of this cohort of this course, this lean innovation course.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do something cool. And so, that's exactly right. And I think one of the powerful learnings that, I've had reflected back at me is that, some people equate that to going out and cold calling and being the hard salesperson. But really, it's like going back to that, curiosity, learning about other people's worlds who might be, in your customer base. And when there's a bit of difference when you go, hey, I'm doing this thing. It's about, it's a learning opportunity. I want to pick your brains about this industry. And that changes minds, and that potentially could open doors.
And I think when you're really honest about that too, like people don't mind, like I want to take you to coffee because I want to pick your brains, rather than trying to do it sneakily. Like you're upfront, and the people will tell you upfront if they don't want to share things. They'll say, oh, we don't. But usually people are really willing to, which Karen mentions this too. She said, people are usually happy to make introductions, which is so helpful.
Yeah, that's it. And that's sort of the, the culture and the attitude that we want to cultivate within Canberra, and usually people just want to help out and see how they can be part of something really cool that you're doing.
Yeah, very much so. And Ladina's just said everyone knows everyone in Canberra. Well, it can seem like that too, but it is a really unique part of our ecosystem here that really does help too. And the other thing too, before we wrap up here, Irene, is the way that the questions are structured, and I think this is really quite unique. For the customer interviews.
That's it. And it kind of goes back to sort of the learning about their world and not sort of going in sort of wedded to your idea, but wedded to a vision, I suppose. And so, we encourage people, even if you're not going to do this particular program, when you're getting started out on your idea, you want to learn about customers, and the best way we found that's worked with a lot of people is just asking open-ended questions. And so it's never going, here's my idea, do you like it?
Or will you buy it?
Because it's so easy for someone to be polite and go, yeah, you're so smart, well done, go you, of course I'd buy it. But then you're not really getting that genuine feedback about, whether actually people will adopt it. And so the way we sort of, position it, I suppose, is around asking open-ended questions, looking at problems, what's missing in their world. If you're proposing, say, a new, maybe a new financial platform or whatever it might be, what's missing with what's out there? What gap are you filling? What's a problem that you're solving for these particular customers? And so, asking about their problems, asking open-ended questions, and then you'll, be open to learning different insights that you might not have expected, because those are the nuggets of gold that often shape off. You go, okay, well, actually, I'm not going this way anymore. I need to do more Facebook Lives, or maybe I need to build up the community a bit more before I go down that path. And it's just learning about the different steps, or the getting that rich information on how to progress it.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I've started reusing that methodology with the Joyful Fashionista. So for various reasons, I didn't go through this method when I came up with it. I would have saved myself a lot of heartache had I did, but then I don't know if I'd done it, but I didn't say that too loudly. But, it's really interesting because people expect you to have a call where you're like, you should use this platform, or I'm selling something, and they're like, they're waiting for that. And people sort of, you can see them almost tense up because we're all used to the hard sell, and when people hard sell, we sort of, we either want to get out of the room or we fight back. And so I'm like, I'm not here to sell this. I'm actually know you're really passionate about sustainable fashion, so I want to hear your views. And that's something, if someone really is passionate about sustainable fashion or climate change or the environment or whatever it is, You know, you ask open-ended questions about, you know, well, what do you see in your industry? How is this happening? And then you learn too. Like you learn, that opens up that space for learning because you're not like the person selling.
Yeah. That's it. And, you know, one of the things that we actually really like is when people get no's for answers. So, you know, maybe it's, do you actually have this problem? And if they learn no early on, that's actually a win because it stops you from going down a path that no one is interested in. And, you know, focusing on learning and not necessarily being, I guess, beaten down, I guess, with the no's. Like no's at a very early stage is actually really good.
Can save a lot of heartache. It's painful. You want everyone to like your cute idea and fall in love with it.
Yep.
But yeah, I know it can really help though. So if you have any further questions, put them in the chat. If not, you can always contact Irene Zhen at the Canberra Innovation Network. I think your details or someone's details are there on the website in relation to the Idea to Impact course. So applications finish at the end of this month, so the
31st of August.
So 31st of August, so make sure you get your applications in early. I highly recommend it. I've done the course. I've learnt so much from that. It's been really, really useful for me. So there's a lot of really great principles in there, and you've had a lot of great success stories.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've had lots of people, you know, go on and, you know, their companies are still going, or they've raised a bunch of, you know, funds from different investors. But also, I think it's just the community of people that we've managed to develop because even if ideas don't go forward, that's, you know, your first employee or, you know, people have partnered up and done something really cool together. So it's really about the community. It's about, you know, putting yourself out there, testing ideas and seeing what happens. Yeah.
Excellent. So get to it, and I'll share the information for the Canberra Innovation Network in the thread as well for this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.